Hi, I'm John Ray, and welcome to the Thriving Podcast. I'm your host and intuitive coach, dedicated to amplifying your intuition, transforming your mind, and igniting your inner magic to create a life you're obsessed with. 2 years ago, I was burnt out as fuck in a toxic relationship and a successful tech career that I just wasn't happy in anymore. I left it all behind with no plan, and now I'm running my own business, immersed in purpose and passion, happily married to my soulmate, and living out my dreams every single day. And if you're badass enough to be listening to this podcast, then you're already on the fast track to doing the same, babe. On this podcast, we'll dive into all things life, business, heart, mind, body, and soul, empowering you to uplevel your life and embody your happiest, healthiest, and hottest self. It's time to make idealistic your new realistic, because you're not just here to survive, you're here to thrive. Okay, hello. We are back for part 3 and the final episode of this 3-part mini-series, Launch Success Secrets. So I have taken a little bit of a break. I have made myself some throat coat tea, although I already feel my throat is still pretty raspy. So hopefully we'll be able to get through this. But like you guys know, I like to keep the energy alive. So I was like, there is no waiting. There is no recording this later. This is all happening today. So before we get into it, just quick little, disclaimer, housekeeping, whatever you want to call it. This is a 3-part series, so if you have not already listened to part 1 and 2, I highly recommend going back and listening to those first. I did them in a very intentional order, and I also have a little bit more of an intro in part 1 that just kind of like gives you a little bit more context about, what this series is and what inspired it and all that good stuff. So highly recommend going back to listen to those first and then coming to listen to part 3. So part 1 we did top 5 energetic tips. Part 2, we did top 5. Oh my God, my talking is like getting to be such a mess. Part 2, we did top 5 strategic tips. And today we are doing top 5. Honestly, I don't even know like what to call this. It's like top 5 general tips. So it's a combination of strategic and energetic, but the other 2 episodes were about the launch, like leading up to the offer, like the actual kind of like launch. Like I don't want to say pre-launch, because pre-launch is kind of like planning for that part, like the open door, like when you're actively selling. And this is about like the offer delivery, which is still a big part of your launch. And the reason why I wanted to include this is because like your launch, right? It's not just like that launch period, like that middle period. It is the pre-launch period, which we talked about a little. I think a lot of the like underlying foundation of a lot of the tips we talked about, like a lot of the energetic was about kind of that prep period in the pre-launch of like making sure that you're actually launching and selling and marketing something that feels aligned and making sure that you're energetically aligned to it and that, like you're setting those foundations. And then also on the strategic side, like kind of planning out before you actually start selling, like what am I selling? What are my bonuses? What are my offers going to be? And like planting those seeds, putting yourself out there, spreading the word. So yeah, the pre-launch is very important. I feel like that was just kind of naturally seamlessly integrated into those tips that kind of covered the pre-launch and the actual like active launch selling period for your offer, whatever it is, which again, it could be like a longer thing depending on if you have like this, planned out launch in the specific program that's being offered over a specific time, or if you have a certain like deal that you're advertising, or like it could be like different, like if you have like kind of an evergreen thing, or, like you have something where you just have ongoing classes or ongoing events or a product that's always available. What I want to just like say to that is remember that you still want to be intentionally launching with those things, right? So you still want to like be creating specific windows and having these specific deals and building hype around specific things, even if it is just one thing you're offering all the time. And again, that's something that we can get more into individually, because it is a personalized thing dependent on what your offer really is. But just remember that even if you have something that you are offering ongoing, you can still apply these principles, especially that's where you really want to bring more of the strategy into it that we talked about in the last episode. But this is about the offer delivery, right? So this is kind of like part three of your launch. You have the pre-launch, the prep, the planning, you have the actual like implementation, you're actively selling the offer, the program, the product, whatever it is. And then you actually have the delivery, right? So they actually sign up for your class, or they sign up for your master class or your freebie, or they sign up for your course or your program, or they buy your product, whatever it is. I don't really speak to product-based business a ton, but this could still apply to you. It'll just be a little bit different because I mostly speak to like service-based. But yeah, basically, once that actually happens, the sale is made, right? You don't want to discount this part because this is the part where you actually follow through on everything you've been hyping up and selling and marketing. And this is huge for a few reasons. Number one, like we'll talk about, if you're smart about it, you will treat the offer delivery as actually part of the pre-sell or a part of the launch, a part of the, what is the word I'm looking for? As a part of your pre-launch for your next launch. All right. Because people that actually join your offers and buy from you, those are the people that are most likely going to continue to do that. So this is client retention. This is, building community. This is word of mouth. This is referrals, testimonials. This is also confidence boosting, confidence building, huge aspect of this. You guys know I keep drilling in the confidence. That all is a part of the actual offer delivery. So these are my basically top 5, and I actually have a bonus. So it's the top 6 keys to launch success, top 6 launch secrets when it comes to actually delivering your offer, whatever that might look like for you, and why these are so important to remember as a part of your overall launch process. So number 1 is we have a common theme of hype throughout this whole entire series. Number 1 is stay hyped the F up. Okay. So I know we talked about energetically, be the hyped up, be hyped. You guys, my talking is like, I'm going to be fumbling over my words so much because I've been talking for so long. Be hyped the F up about your offer. We talked about in episode 1, right? Hype the F up about your offer, right? We talked about in episode 2 when you're actually marketing it, right? So like hype it up, get people excited, but you also have to be excited, right? And then number 3 is like, keep that hype going, right? Like when you actually, like once you close the doors or once the sign up closes or whatever it is, and you're actually offering, whether it's you got people to come to your class, you have people in your program, like don't lose that excitement. Like keep that hype, not only for yourself and within your program and within your delivery, but to your audience and to your community, right? Because especially if it is something you're offering ongoing or something you may offer again, or even if it's not, you like want to keep the energy alive so that people who were maybe on the fence or were considering and didn't join see like, oh my God, that looks just as dope as I thought it would be. Why didn't I sign up? And then they sign up next time. Like you want to continue building the hype. You actually running the program, that is arguably like even more powerful marketing than you just advertising it beforehand. So I feel like a lot of people can discount this part of it, and it's actually like, this is a really big moneymaker for you, right? In like every sense of the word. So keep the hype alive. And that means like sharing about it when it's actually happening. So again, like if this was a class, like sharing about the class, showing people participating, right? If it's a program, like sharing the wins throughout the program, sharing what people in your group are saying about it, sharing testimonials from people who took your course, or sharing comments that you got back, or testimonies from people who bought your product, right? Like I'm trying to hit on like every like different kind of business I can think of, but like sharing the power and the energy of like once you're actually in the container in the program, right? Continuing to show the behind the scenes, build that hype, because this is like now you're building on top of, you've already built this hype and this tease, right? Before you even like opened the doors or like opened for people to buy. Then you were even building on that when you were actually hyping it up and like being like full throttle in your launch, like, oh my God, buy my thing. This is going to be awesome. And now you have a third layer on top of that where all this hype has been built and now it's actually happening. And people are seeing like, oh my God, that looks so great. Like, this is like great with events too, like showing actually what an amazing, like, look, it's actually living up to the hype. So continue to hype it to your audience and keep the hype alive in your program. Like bring that energy, bring that excitement, and bring that confidence into your actually delivery of your program, your offer, your event, your class, your experience, your service, your whatever it is. with a product, it would just be like, make sure you actually have a really fucking good product. So like keep that energy alive, like that will have such an impact. And again, the energy that you have during the launch will absolutely feed into the delivery of your program and the experience of the container. People will always reflect your energy back to you. So keep that energy hyped up, right? Like stay confident, stay invested, because that is how you will get the most engagement and the most transformation and the best results from actually delivering your offer and your experience and your service, whatever it is, that will then allow your clients and your community to have the best experience, to experience the most powerful results and transformation, which will, number one, lock them in with you. And they'll be like, oh my God, yes, please give me more of this. Yes, please, more of this. And they will go tell all their friends. And then you get so much more, like positive feedback and testimonial to then go ahead and use in the future when you're marketing, whatever you're marketing in the future. So keep that energy alive and don't just be like, oh, phew, launch is over. I got people to buy, I made money, and then like slack on the actual delivery of whatever it is. You actually want to like save even the most energy for this part. This is actually the most important part. Because again, too, especially if you're a service-based business, this is the part you're actually most excited for, right? Like this is why you went through all that selling and marketing and everything we just talked about. So you actually get to like do what you love and share your art and share your heart and share your work and whatever it is. This is like the actual part where we get to like do what's really fun. So stay hype the F up when you're actually delivering the offer, and continue to spread the love and spread the hype and build the hype in your community and within the program, the offer, and whoever is a part of it. Number 2 is set your intention for the container or for the program, for the offer, for the event, whatever it is, and hold the energy. And so what I mean by this is really set the intention for what you want the energy of this to be, what you want to get out of it, what you want your clients to get out of it, and what boundaries you want to set, and this comes back to that energetic foundation. It really is going to be crucial for this. But really, before you actually like go into delivery, like, check in with your own energy and set the intention of like, what energy do I want to carry through this container and what boundaries do I need in place to actually be able to do that? Like I mentioned, one of the first group programs I launched, I actually didn't really have the capacity to deliver everything that I thought I was going to deliver. And I didn't really honestly realize like how much I was promising and what that was going to entail. And the difference with this program was I really set the boundaries of like when I'm going to be available and when I'm not. And I made the expectations very clear to them, and I had clear lines of communication. And I also set boundaries for myself of like, what is a non-negotiable for me in terms of, and how do I want to just show up? So this is going to be really different for everyone, but it's really like setting the intention of how do I want to show up in this container and what do I need to make that possible for me? What boundaries do I need in place? What energetic practices do I need in place? What kind of intentions do I want to set to make sure that I show up the way I want to show up in this container so that I can deliver the best service and the best value that I can, and that I feel happy and satisfied and proud and content with the way that I showed up. And then I'm able to hold this energy throughout the entirety of this container, and I have the capacity to actually deliver on what I'm intending to deliver. So like a couple examples of this could be it is like a course, right, that you're offering. Is like, okay, well, how available do I want to be for clients for support, whether it's a live program or maybe like a do-it-yourself, like, do I want them to be able to reach out to me just with any questions? Do I like need to set up a specific, outline of, there's this container, you can reach out for questions in this time? Or is it just like you're on your own, or if it's a live thing, like do I want to set the expectation of like, I'm available between these hours and these hours, or like, the call times that you're having, like how much flexibility do I want to have with the call times? Or like, why am I choosing this time for the calls, and like, what kind of rules do I want to make for myself of like, all right, I'm not going to check in with them until I tend to my energy first, or just like, this could be so many things. If it is like an event or something, it's like, what do I need to make sure that I'm showing up the way I want to for this? Like, do I want to be rushing into this event, or do I want to like clear my schedule the day before to make sure I can show up fully, you know? Or like if you do teach classes, you know, like how can I tend to my energy? What's my intention for this class? Like, what do I really want them to take away from this? If it's even just like a master class or something online, you know, like what is the one thing I want them to take away? And what is the one thing that I want to make sure that I do that will make myself proud? So I feel like this is very underrated, of just setting the intention for the actual delivery of the offer, whatever that is, and being really clear on, you know, what kind of boundaries do I need and what are my intentions here and how can I ensure that I hold true to these and really am able to, you know, hold this energy throughout and stay in alignment throughout the entire delivery of the container so that I can show up my best and I can really hold that confidence again, you know, like what we don't want is like to actually get into the delivery and then we don't have these boundaries and intentions in place, and then we aren't really confident in our intentions and our expectations, and then again that is reflected back to us on the other side. So really just kind of like holding yourself to the standard you want to hold yourself to, and really setting the intention too of like, what is a standard that I want to hold my clients to, or whoever, you know, is like participating, is like, what is the standard I want to hold them to, and how can I set that intention energetically and explicitly with the group? And if it's not a group, with a one-on-one or with the class, again, whatever it is, apply it to your own situation. So that's number 2. Number 3 is to lead from your heart, to lead from desire, to lead from service, and to really detach from any outcomes or any expectations of the program. And number 4 is kind of on that note of detachment as well, but a little bit of a different flavor. But what I really mean by this is just like once we're actually here, right? Again, this is mostly for service-based, you know, heart-led entrepreneurs, is like, okay, now that I'm here, how can I just be so present and just lead from my heart and remember that at the end of the day, I'm in this because I want to serve and I want to provide this value for people. And I genuinely just feel so fulfilled from doing this. Like, how can I really just like be in gratitude, honestly, and just stay so in my heart and so present in this process and not, you know, start to get lost in the sauce of, are they enjoying it? Is it working? Am I doing a good job? And all these things that can sneak up, you know, and how can I just be like so present and just open and just in my heart and just like, you know, focus on just delivering the best that I can, and I'm just doing my best. And again, that's why the intentions are so important, because then we can really like be in our heart and know, okay, this is my intention, and all I have to do is just like be in my heart and stay true to my intentions, and I know I'm doing the best I can, you know, and not kind of let ourselves get so caught up in, again, the fear and the doubt and everything that can really like take away and kind of like dip your energy down and dip your vibe down, and then actually cause you to, you know, deliver an experience that is less than you want to, or less than your best, you know? And again, of course, we're always doing the best we can. But, you know, another thing with this is I know it's easier said than done. And of course, I have moments like this too. And so it's like just remembering to kind of like give yourself grace, you know, and be compassionate with yourself. Again, coming back to those intentions throughout, and judging based off of inputs over outputs as much as you can, because we can only control how much we can control. So just remembering, like I always say, my only job is to stay true to my heart and true in my intentions. And then I'm doing everything I can, you know, like that is truly my only job. And to remember too, like, especially I feel like this can come up if you maybe don't like have as much engagement, or you don't feel like people are really like getting what you wanted them to get out of it. Remembering that, again, this is where like those boundaries are important, and like really setting the standard and the intention, because you have to remember that all you really can do is just like, because you have to remember that it's like, it's actually not about you, you know? Like, I feel like we can start to get in our head of like, are they enjoying it, or is it working, or like, are they liking it, or is it good enough? Because we're like, I want them to like think it's good, and I want to feel like I'm good enough, and I want to feel like I'm doing a good job. But it's like coming back to leading from your heart and like being of service and being detached from the outcome, and being like, actually, like, I'm just doing this because like I want to give and I want to serve. It's not about me. And when I say like, it's not about me, it's about them, I don't even mean like, it's about their results, because again, like, I feel like if there's a lack of perceived results, then you can start to get in your head, but it's really just like, it's not about them or me. Like, it's literally just about love. At the end of the day, you guys know me, I'm always like, it always just comes back to love, but really like, it's just like coming back to your heart and like really holding on to that like throughout, and allowing yourself to just always come back to that throughout the delivery. Again, whether it's a short thing or a long thing, just how can I like come back to love and also joy, like if you start to get stressed or anxious or doubtful about it, like, okay, well, like what is feeling off? And like, like how can I make it feel more fun, or how could I make it feel better or fresher, easier or lighter, And this is kind of leading into number 4 of like, don't force and trust the process, and just like let it be what it's meant to be. Be adaptable. Like you may have expectations of the group, but it's really important too to like keep a pulse on the group, like keep a pulse on the energy, like stay in tune, like check in with them and like notice, like, is something not feeling aligned? Something that I had planned, maybe it feels like actually I don't feel like that's what they need. I had like planned to do like this, module, or I had planned to do this exercise, like whatever it is. And actually I'm feeling like that's not going to be super aligned, or that's not what they need. And like, allow yourself to like be flexible and be adaptable to the energy of the group, to the needs of the group. Again, even if it's not a group, I'm of course speaking like based off of this experience of this past launch, but like just be adaptable and whatever that delivery looks like for you, and noticing like, does this feel aligned still? Like if it doesn't feel aligned, like what needs to shift, and giving yourself permission to actually shift as it needs to shift, and just let it be what it's meant to be, and just really trusting the process. So that's kind of like the second piece on detachment. So it's like the one piece of like just staying in your heart, really. And then this next one is really just like trusting the process and just staying open and adaptable. And yeah, like don't be afraid to adapt and be flexible and change things in the moment, intuitively, or rearrange things or whatever you need to do just based on the energy of the group, and really just like, stay in tune and keep up on like, okay, what actually is the energy? Like, how are they doing? Like, is this going too fast? Is it going too slow? Especially if it's something that you haven't done before, if it's people you haven't worked with before, and like, you're still learning, right? So just keeping a pulse and really allowing yourself to be adaptable, be flexible, don't force anything, follow what feels aligned, and trust the process. Like in this program, I noticed like, okay, I feel like everyone could actually really use an integration day. We're moving kind of fast. I feel like a couple people are behind. We just had the weekend. I feel like I could use a little bit of a break. And so I gave an integration day. I initially was planning to have a training every single day. And I was like, you know what? I think we just want a break day. And so that was like an intuitive on the spot kind of decision based on what felt aligned, just trusting the process. I also changed up some of the topics I talked about, based on where I felt everyone was and what they really needed to hear and what I felt called to share. And I just trusted that, that is what it's meant to be, and that's what's meant to come through, and that's what they really need. So just trusting the process with that. Number 5 is, these are kind of where we get a little bit more strategic with it, is market research is basically like, yeah, be strategic with the delivery of your offer. And what I mean by that is like, take advantage of this opportunity. Like I talked about before, this is a huge opportunity to like get testimonials and like build hype, but also like market research, and so you can do this in a lot of different ways. And this is like where it really gets into like prepping for your next launch, is like you can have check-ins, again, depending on like the kind of delivery or offer you have. But even if it's like a class, like send them a little, like survey after class, like what did you think? What did you like? Da da da. Or like, like with my program, I sent them a reflection, to an opening reflection, a midway check-in, and a closing reflection. The midway check-in was, again, kind of on, like I was talking about before, of like, so I could keep a pulse of like, okay, like, where are they? How like quickly are they integrating? How well are they understanding? Are there any gaps that I missed that I need to go back and make sure like are clear? Like what do they need? What feels challenging for them? And the opening reflection is like, so I could get really clear on, okay, I can make sure that I'm covering everything that I feel like they, is really specific to them and their needs and their desires. And with the closing, this is going to help me reflect on the program again for like future iterations or for future offers, to like see like, okay, like what have they gained, like to build my confidence, like look at all the wins that they've had to help them reflect and really lock in their transformation. So it's a win-win because it's for you and it's for them, like reflecting, like just don't like sleep on the reflection in general. Okay. Like even post-launch reflection, but yeah, like client reflection, your reflection, like just gathering as much data and information as you can. This is such a great opportunity for that. And it's great market research to, again, like, we talked about speaking their language in the last episode, like to get super, super clear on what are they actually saying their problems are, what are they saying their desires are, what are they learning, what was like really a breakthrough for them. And that will inform you to going into future launches for, again, like everything we talked about. Now you have a way better idea of like, okay, like how do I speak their language? What is the vision? What picture do I want to paint, and like, how can I build even more hype? And now I feel even more confident because like I'm really seeing, or like if they're like talking about challenges or like things they wish would have been different, now you can feel even more confident again because you can be like, oh, okay, yeah, like that's a really actually way that I can improve this. And then you're just like building and building and improving every single time. So basically like don't sleep on the opportunity to use this strategically in so many ways. And it's not just strategic in terms of helping you with future launches, but it's also like it allows your program to be even more impactful because, again, the power of that reflection for them is going to be huge, and it allows you to create a better experience for them in the future. Again, whatever that experience looks like for you. So yeah, just like basically make sure to like check in and communicate, like keep the lines of communication open throughout the offer and take advantage of that. And then the last bonus is juicy upsells. So again, you have people who actually have like bought your stuff, like they took your class, they signed up for your program, they bought your course, they're listening to your podcast, whatever it is, like make sure to, follow up or to again, and to basically like, ride the momentum of that, so this can look like, before your program is over, you maybe like offer them a really exciting deal to join your next program, right? Or like, a really exciting pre-sale special. Or, like you'll probably see like a lot of times when you like attend classes or events, and especially if you're like new to a studio, like then you might get like a coupon in your email for like $5 off your next class. Like if you come back in the next week, stuff like that. And this is like getting a little more like strategic with it, but just coming back to kind of what we talked about last episode of like, how can I like make it irresistible for them to keep working with me and stay in my community? And again, this is not from like a slimy, salesy place. Like this should absolutely be from the heart. And, if you didn't enjoy working with someone, like don't do this, but if you really love working with someone and you really felt like it was a great fit for you guys to work together and you really feel like whatever it is you're offering next, which again, might be something similar, it might be something different, but if you really feel like they would benefit and you would benefit from having them, join that or from continuing to work together, then just be honest and genuine, and like offer it to them and invite them to it. And again, like make a really like juicy deal because it's like, again, a win-win for everybody. It's like when you like literally at the most basic level, again, like business, like 101, think about like when you go to a grocery store, right? And then you like buy stuff and then you like get a coupon literally at checkout. That's like, use this in the next week, and then you can like get even more of this thing that you like, or like, we know that you like this. So like, it's like the same thing. And so it's just like when you get the coupon, if you don't want more of that thing, you're just not going to use it. But if you do, if you're like, oh, I was actually going to buy more of that thing, or I really would like more of that thing, how awesome is it that I now have this coupon? So kind of like reframing like sales in general in that aspect is like, it's actually like not of like when you offer like deals and specials and upsells like that is actually just like a win for everybody, like, and it's like a disadvantage and a disservice to you and to them to not offer, right? Because it's like, well, what if I did want to come back and buy more Q-tips and now I don't have a coupon for it? It's like, I think people like are often like feel afraid to sell because there's like this discomfort around like, well, what if they say no, or what if they don't want it? And it's like, so what? So what if they don't want it? What if they say no? Like they can say no, like why are you bad for like putting them in a position where they might say no? Like you're also putting them in a position where maybe they want to say yes, and maybe you're making it easier for them to say yes to something they already want to say yes to, So this is, again, getting into a little bit of like sales energetics, but basically just like, yeah, don't sleep on the opportunities that present themselves. It's kind of the theme of this episode. It's like, just don't sleep on the opportunities that present themselves when you're actually delivering your offer, even if it is like a live event, like before they leave, like tell them, make sure they know like what's coming up. Hey, come back on Wednesday. I have this going on if you're into that, like just make sure that they know what's available. And yeah, basically keep the momentum rolling. So that way it's like you're not like just stopping and starting and like, okay, phew, I delivered that, down with that. Oh, now I got to do this whole process over again. Like you could actually end this one launch cycle and this one delivery of this offer and actually have multiple people already on board for the next thing that you're running, which is going to, again, help build your confidence, starting the cycle all over again and help you continue to ride that momentum, which is what I'm really, really passionate about, is like keeping the momentum alive. That's really like, I feel like the message that I feel so passionate about is like amplifying your momentum and your magnetism, because those two things together is just like you're unstoppable. And that's really also like, I feel like the combination of those two things is what it really means to be in flow in your business. And so this is really, just kind of like a breakdown of what it like really looks like to be in flow and to like how to move through your business in a way that feels flowing and aligned to you, and how to really take advantage from a strategic and energetic standpoint to make the most out of your launch process and be super successful. So that is all I have for you today. That wraps up our series, our Secrets to Launch Success, or whatever the heck I'm calling it. I really hope that you loved it. I feel really awesome about it. I'm actually really excited that this dropped in, and I feel like you guys are going to really get a lot out of it. Oh my God, when is this even coming out? I think this will be coming out, in like a few weeks, so like early August. So yeah, the pre-sale should still be available for the mastermind, CEO Frequency, my business mastermind coming up. We are kicking off in October, but I do have a few super special limited pre-sale spots available with a really exciting discount and opportunity to basically start working with me early and get a lot of super fun, juicy bonuses. So if you felt like you got a lot out of this series and you want to go deeper, then this is just a little taste of what you can expect in the mastermind. So if you are curious, if any questions about what that entails, about the bonuses, the deals, the discounts, and how you can hop in if you'd be a good fit, just shoot me a message on Instagram. Just send me a DM at John Marie Kawadi. And happy to chat more about that and let you know what's entailed. So the pre-sale spots are basically first come, first serve, or until the end of the month. And then I'll be closing that down, and then we'll just be relaunching with early bird, picking it back up. But obviously there won't be as many fun bonuses. So if you're feeling called, just shoot me a DM. We can chat about it. Thank you so much for listening. I love you so much. As always, don't forget to share this episode with a friend or anyone who you think would find it valuable. Send me a message. Let me know what your takeaways were. Let me know what you learned. Let me know your breakthroughs, and don't forget to take a deep breath, smile. I love you, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.